Welcome back to Patrol Clip, movie lovers. Show of hands, how many of you out there sometimes feel absolute dread when you want to pick out something to watch for kids, knowing that it's most likely going to be mind-numbing, silly, juvenile clickbait? Trust me, we understand. We've talked about animations made for adults in the past, but today we're going to shift focus to animations and other films made for kids that adults might actually enjoy, or at very least be able to tolerate for an hour or a few. Before we begin, yeah, you know the drill.
Please like and subscribe to our channel.
And now for our top 10 picks. Here we go. Number 10, The Nightmare Before Christmas. The Tim Burton stop-motion classic The Nightmare Before Christmas is one that has achieved probably beyond cult status among so many younger and older audiences alike. The story of the Pumpkin King Jack Skellington and his quest to kill his boredom of the same tradition of celebrating Halloween every year leads him to stumble upon a doorway to the twinkly, snow-covered, gumdrop tree-ridden land of Christmas, and hatches a plan to make his own version, in his own world, Halloween Town. With unique, grotesque, and adorably memorable characters such as Sally, the stitched-together love interest, a face-changing mayor of Halloween Town, and even old Saint Nick himself, as well as an unforgettable soundtrack that even popular rock and metal bands have taken interest in covering.
There's an empty place in my bones.
It's no wonder this movie has won the hearts and creative minds of millions. Even if you're not a big fan of musicals, and trust me, I'm not one of them either, we can guarantee you'll find yourself singing along with these tunes before you know it. So, whether you're a goth with a soft spot for the holidays, a disgruntled veteran of kid-sitting, or just a lonely, bored soul, The Nightmare Before Christmas is a timeless gem that should never go unwatched at least once a year during the times of the season. Number 9, the Toy Story series. Being able to choose one of any of these unforgettable Disney Pixar masterpieces would be impossible. The Toy Story series, which all center around the main protagonist Woody, a cowboy doll voiced by the brilliant Tom Hanks, and Buzz Lightyear, a futuristic space hero voiced by Home Improvement's Tim Allen, all managed to bring exciting and emotional moments to every film and scene. Accompanied by a group of other random toys, Woody and Buzz start off as rivals and become reluctant friends by the end of the first movie. Every entry in the series manages to maintain the same great humor and interaction between characters, and even as the boy named Andy grows into adulthood, the toys still seek to have a sense of purpose. Obviously, as the years went on and each new sequel arrived, the animation got more and more clean and pristine, with clever storytelling, hilariously genius casting, super creative visuals, and catchy music. The Toy Story series will always remind you that you have a friend in them. Number 8, The Goonies. Ah, the 80s. Such a magical time, full of imagination and wonder, as well as a plethora of children that actually utilize such imagination without the use of cell phones. Kinda hard to imagine nowadays, but once upon a time, this was real. And 1985's The Goonies will be one of those movies that kids and their kids' kids will always feel the need to revisit and even quote so many great lines from, like, $50 bill!
$50 bill.
And, hey you guys!
Hey, you guys!
With an intelligent cast of then-child actors such as Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, yeah, that Josh Brolin, Corey Feldman, Jeff Cohen, who seriously changed from the fat kid chunk to a successful thinned-out lawyer, by the way, Cary Green, and so many others, who all decide to embark on an adventure to find the lost sunken treasure of the pirate One-Eyed Willy along the coast of their Oregon town, but run into a small group of criminals along the way. There are so many cute and unforgettable scenes and interactions of dialogue, slipped kisses, and of course the infamous Truffle Shuffle. If any 80s babies have forgotten somehow to make their kids watch this platinum classic, well, they should be severely punished. Number 7, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Now, who could forget this timeless classic starring Gene Wilder as the zany Willy Wonka? I mean, seriously, there are memes using images of his character all over the internet. Long before Tim Burton sunk his spirally shaped claws into his own darker version of the tale, director Mel Stewart introduced the world to a bright and colorful place called the Wonka Chocolate Factory, a place so special only a golden ticket would allow entrance. And that's just what mild-mannered poor boy Charlie receives in his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But he's not alone. A handful of other awful, spoiled children get to enter as well, and soon it becomes obvious that there's more to the secrets of the factory than any of them could have ever imagined. If you're not singing and dancing along with the Oompa Loompas or feeling an insatiable craving for sweets by the end of this movie, there's probably something wrong with you. Number 6, The Princess Bride.
Oh, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
That movie quote alone is so huge that it echoes in the vast halls of so many memories. 1987's The Princess Bride is yet another cult classic among such a wide variety of movie fans. I mean, just ask anyone who has seen it, literally anyone who has, and they will tell you how many fond memories they have of it. Starring a wild cast of medieval misfits all wrapped together by the storyteller Grandpa, played by Peter Falk, this movie is filled to the brim with silly humor that comes quick, with exciting and enchanting pacing, and of course, Andre the Giant. The movie is so memorable and lovable, in fact, that the creators of Deadpool 2 even utilized elements from it to make a PG-13 version of their movie entitled Once Upon a Deadpool. We definitely recommend seeing that as well, for the very reason at least of witnessing the hilarious use of recreating the storytelling arc and even bringing an adult Fred Savage back. That's dedication. If you are among the few poor souls who missed out on Princess Bride, we insist you catch up on it immediately. Hey guys, you still with us? Well, you damn well better be. We're doing this for you, you know. But seriously, if we haven't given you enough to work with yet, then let's continue. Number 5, E.T. E.T. is perhaps Steven Spielberg's most lovable creation of all time. So much so that the iconic flying basket bicycle became his signature emblem. For those not quite as familiar as the rest of us classic movie buffs, E.T. Extraterrestrial is a 1982 film starring a very young Henry Thomas as Elliot and Drew Barrymore as his little sister Gertie, who meet and inevitably rescue an alien being who gradually learns how to communicate, build technology, and even heal wounds with a touch. Ouch. All while being tracked down and hunted by the government. E.T.'s only goal is to reach his mothership and return home before getting too ill and dying from being in our Earth's different atmosphere. As we mentioned in another one of our videos, this is also the very movie that put the Reese's Pieces candy on the map for life. I mean, nothing like a solid movie franchise deal to ensure your business. Many of us who had the joy of seeing this movie upon its original release or re-release by popular demand a few years later will recall the magic and wonder and probably used to run around the house and annoy our parents with imitations.
E.T. phone home.
Number 4, The Lion King. Without a doubt, no matter who you are or where you come from, there's always going to be at least one Disney classic animated movie that remains in the hearts and minds of moviegoers all around the world, and there is a 95% probability that it's the original Lion King. This animated masterpiece of cinema came out of nowhere and took audiences by storm. With a delightful soundtrack featuring Elton John and many others, beautiful landscaping, engaging story and characters, and even serious and powerful, heart-touching, emotional moments of tragedy and success. Young Simba, played by Jonathan Taylor Thomas, is the birthright heir to the King of Pride Rock, but is usurped by his power-hungry Uncle Scar and forced into exile. While gone, he meets new friends Timon and Pumbaa, arguably among the most hilarious and perfectly suited sidekick best friends to Simba, teaching him the ways of Hakuna Matata. No worries. But the adult Simba, who is taken over by Matthew Broderick, can't stay in a worry-free paradise forever, as he's reminded by his child playmate Nala to return home and reclaim the throne. If you've only seen the recent remake of this movie, you are in dire need of thumbing back to the unbeatable original. Number 3, Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Kevin McAllister was one unlucky kid to have been forgotten and left on his own on 2 different occasions by the zoo he calls his family. But John Hughes' timeless classics Home Alone and Home Alone 2 Lost in New York will have a permanent spot on the most watched family Christmas stories of all time. The young Macaulay Culkin won over audiences with his charming humor and insane and painful self-made home defense against the dim-witted duo of robbers Harry and Marv. The sheer amount of genius and careful planning, not to mention lots of real-life accidental injuries, to create each scene of cringe-worthy comedic moments of bitter agony as Kevin pummels, torches, eviscerates, and humiliates the would-be crooks with traps will always be considered nothing less than impressive. We highly recommend you and your family watch these back-to-back during the coming season. You're welcome. Oh, and
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Number 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles Forever. Now, some of you may remember the TMNT from the early 2000s. Some of you may remember the early 90s versions. And some of you, like me, may remember both. Well, whichever category you fall under, TMNT Forever is just for you, as both of these worlds are cleverly intertwined in an 8-turtle mashup story. Awesome. Join Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael as they meet Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael, as they must team up to thwart the combined forces of the old and new versions of the Foot Clan. Full of nostalgic humor and lots of cameos and throwbacks every true TMNT fan will recognize immediately, this amazing animated movie will keep you entertained from start to finish. And without spoiling anything, ooh man, just wait until the final battle scene. It gave me goosebumps.
This is the part where you run away.
Did you just boot my stroller?
Nicholas Wilde, you are under arrest.
For what? Hurting your feelings?
Felony tax evasion.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go to Broadway!
And now for our number 1 top pick, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? If you're anything like me, you distinctly remember when the crazy animation-infused live-action comedy-drama adventure Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the zany cast of characters it introduced filled you with profound joy. As a personal favorite of mine as a kid, Roger Rabbit had so many epic and cutting-edge qualities. Now, it wasn't the true originator of blending cartoon and live action, as that title actually belongs to 1925's The Lost World, but it was among the chosen few to win an ensemble of awards, including Best Visual Effects, Best Film Editing, Best Sound Editing, Best Dramatic Presentation, and other special achievement awards. And it shows. Set in the Depression-era USA, a boozing, loose-cannon detective Eddie Valiant, played by the late Bob Hoskins, mourns the loss of his brother/detective partner, blaming Toons for his death. However, he is presented with a new case to unravel the mystery of Roger Rabbit's wife, Jessica, and her involvement with shifty studio executives. It's such a great combination of old detective mystery meets goofy cartoon antics, with Christopher Lloyd playing the sinister Judge Doom, who's hellbent on sentencing Toons to death by the use of his own creation called the Dip. If this one wasn't among your favorites as a kid, it may very well become an adult favorite, and thus why we feel it deserves our number 1 spot. So, please, Eddie, watch the movie! And that's our top 10 kids movies that adults will love too. If you think we missed any, make sure to drop them in the comments below, and as always, please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time!